Hey guys, Coach Kimmy here. So how do we become expert colorists? You know, you got to understand hair and color, and even the cuticle of the hair and texture of hair is important, because a wet sponge as opposed to a dry sponge, which one takes better? Right? If a wet sponge, it will be oversaturated. If it's a dry sponge, it's hard to absorb. But if you have a damp sponge, that will take the best. So really, when you do color, also you should always do it on damp hair. You should have it cleaned, and you should have it prepared to be able to put a color on a clean surface. So it's just like your walls in your home. If you're going to get ready for painting, do you prepare those walls so it's nice and clean so the new paint takes really well? Yes, we do. I know old school is like put it on dirty hair, but you know what? It's not true. And I've been finding I've never had one more problem since we've washed everybody to put on color on their hair, on clean, dry hair. Clean damp hair, I'm sorry, damp. You want it to be like a sponge, so it doesn't have to be fully dry and it's not soaking wet. You just wash the hair, towel dry it real good, and you're good to go. You just put the color on, and it takes so good to the gray. We haven't had one problem with gray taking at all. So just so you know, that's a big secret, because we put it on dirty hair for a long time. It was an old wise tale that's not true. So let's become expert colorists and do it the right way. So these are your levels of hair. There's underlying pigments underneath that, because we have between it's like 7 to 13 layers of cuticle in the hair. So basically that's why if somebody has dark hair and it's really hard to get them super light, if they have a really thick cuticle in there. Now listen, it doesn't mean that the hair is thick. It means they have like extra cuticle, layers of cuticle in their hair. And how will you know? You won't until you start doing their hair. So I always tell people, give me 3 chances to get your hair perfect, because I have to learn your hair, how well it takes. Does it lift easy? Does it take longer? So it's super important to have a great evaluation too with your client, and always ask them the things that they like, and then you have to show them things that are realistic or unrealistic. If they want to be blonde like me and they're black, that's unrealistic. You're not gonna be able to do that in one day. It just takes a lot of work, a lot of time, and you don't know their hair well enough to figure out like how long that would take. You know, you say, well, it'll be a process, and it could take up to a year and maybe even 2 years, depending on, you know, how much cuticle you have in the hair. If their hair is so damaged, like because you had to lift it up so light, it wouldn't be worth it, right? So if they have a thin layers of cuticle and their hair lifts really well, well, then it would be much easier. So it's all going to be relative to what you're working with. So let's get into it. These are the underlying pigments to the hair color on your root, right? So when you have a root, so I'm really like a level 7. I'm about here between a 6 and a 7 naturally. Right now I have more gray, so then you'd go to the gray part. But for a long time, that's what it was before I went more gray. And I'm really more salt and pepper. And I would say I'm a good 75% of salt and pepper. And you're always gonna look at the regrowth when you're gonna find where they are on the hair chart, right? And this is the thing, the reason why they have these on the back is that if you have this much gray, most of the time, 90% of the time, you have to add a neutral that amount. If you got 75% or 25% or whatever, you're gonna have to add a certain amount to your formula to cover that gray. So that's why too, when you're doing redheads, if they're a white sheet of paper, because they have so much salt color in their hair, they have real white, not pepper so much, it'll be neon red because it's on a white piece of paper. And I love to think of color on paper, construction paper. So right here, I have black, and we put the 3 primary colors. Do you guys remember what the 3 primary colors are? Okay, you know I'm very big on saying blueberries, bananas, and strawberries. So this way you never forget what the primary colors are. And then the secondary colors are green, purple, and red. When you mix an equal part of the red and the yellow, you'll get orange, right there. If you mix the blue and the yellow together, you'll get green. These will be green. Now if you mix the red and the blue together, you get purple. There's your secondary colors. And then if you mix purple and green, you'll get your third, it's called tertiary colors. It's the next set after you mix these two, or you mix these two, or you mix the orange and the green together. You kind of get pasty brown. It's cool to see how color works. Now, why do you have to know that? Because when you're toning hair, you need to know what is the underlying color in the toner. What's the pigment in that color? So let me show you here. This is really great. I love this color chart. It's by Colorly. Okay, this is what color chart it is. Colorly. Now look. They will show you, here's your neutral right up here, right? But they show you underneath how much blue is in that, how much yellow, and how much red. Here we go. Okay, and that one, because it's a 2. Now they're going the levels of the hair. Remember, you're gonna see what level are you putting on. Are you putting on a dark? So if you're putting on a dark and then you're putting that on, you're just gonna keep their color the same. If you put this on this level, it could probably lift up two levels. It won't lift up too much. Depending on if you put 10, 20, 30, or 40 volume in there, then you'll lift it up more, right? The more that you want to lift something, the more power you need to put in there. You need to use a higher level blonde, and then you have to use a higher level peroxide. Peroxide is your gas. So I want you to see, this is such a great color chart because all of the colors stem from these colors. Okay, and every color on there, and remember, you always got the underlying pigment too. So let's just say that you are right here. This is a 2N, and you want to go to right here to an 8N. Right now, now listen, this is how you want to think of it too. If you're at a 2 and you put an 8 on, you got to go in between that. You got to go like, okay, what's in between the 2? 1, 2, and then the 8 is 1, 2. Probably right here you'll get. That's the color that you'll get. Do you understand? Because you have to know that whatever levels you're lifting, it's going to meet in the middle of that if you use the same amounts, right? Well, because they're here, and then you use this all the way, just the 8N, and you use 30 volume. It might get you over to here, but you better remember you're going to be pulling some red because these live in that number. Do you understand? It lives within that when you're lifting. And so when you're lifting hair, this is what lifts. This is what it lifts up to when you're lifting from black to blonde. So always keep in mind the brass. People hate brass. You need to get rid of brass. Get rid of brass. They don't want brass. So would you really take a color that was this color and put a level 10 on there? Where would you meet at? You're going to be coming right here. So what color's underneath that? Forget it. Even though you're putting a 10 on there, you think, oh, I'm just going to put this blonde color on there with 20 volume. It's good. No, you're going to be right here living with bright red. You're going to have such a bright brassy color. It's not going to look good. That's not the way to get you to where you want to go. If you want a red color, then you use red to make it a pretty red color. So I want you to understand that color has laws and theories that you need to understand so that you can become an expert colorist. So now I want to just show you too. Now these are extra pigments that you can use. That is why it's super important to understand the foundation of color. So like if you're really trying to cut orange highlights because you didn't lift them light enough, you are going to use a blue. You're not using purple because purple won't do anything. Blue is the dominant color. Orange is really hard to get out of hair. Really hard. So let's say that they're dark, black, right? They're here and they want a really nice caramel color, right? They want kind of like a color like this in that black. But you came up with too much brass because you thought, oh, well, I don't need to get it up to a yellow piece of paper. I could get it up to a red or an orange piece of paper, but you better know you got to use something with a blue tone and it's going to darken it. Blue is a dominant color. Okay, so you need to think it through to think, okay, if they're black, I'm really probably going to do a highlight like maybe here or here in there, right? Because you can lift it, but you got to know what's underneath there, and then you're gonna have to tone it. So that's why too, when you want to tone hair, you could use these extra pigments. See, it's just the pure pigment, pure. Now this one is purple, okay, so that's why it has blue and red. But the dominant, because it's a dark purple, it has much more blue. Okay, with a little bit of red, still gives you purple. And here's the gray, steel color. Look at all that blue with a little bit of red and yellow. And then green, just equal parts. So remember, you want to know those because you want to be able to tone hair correctly when you're doing color. I am at pretty much a level 7 to an 8, so I pull warm. So I want to show you on my hair, okay, right here. I definitely pull warm. Okay, so I like a little bit of a strawberry blonde in my hair. I don't like it really light. If I try to break my base or put a color on there that's like a 9, forget it, it's too brassy. I have to put highlights in it to make it blonder. See the pretty tones in there with the blonde? So I have like a honey blonde, a lighter blonde, and that's what I love. So that's what I do with my hair. Now, my level is at a 6 or 7, right? So remember, if I put on, sometimes I'll put a 7 on my hair with 20 volume just to break the base, to cover the gray. No, I don't really want to cover the gray. I want to remove the pepper color from my hair. Okay, so I want to leave the salt on there because that makes it look like a highlight. And that's why if I break the base, I'm using a color with 20 volume for 5 minutes. That's it. And we use Clairol because Clairol has ammonia and it takes within the first 15 minutes. Not all color takes within the first 15 minutes, but Clairol does. It bumps it up super quick, super fast, and it works. And I've been using it for 35 years. And that's the best way to break a base. And not that you can't use color, you totally could use color to break a base, but sometimes it's not necessary, you know, because the color takes a little while longer. But if you need to leave it on 20 minutes, you could totally do that. You could do it with the color too. I like to do things fast, so that's the only reason why too. So I'm really like at a level 7, right? So I have that underlying pigment in there. So that's why when we put a 7 or an 8 on me, it lifts with that warmthness in there. But I like warm on my skin tone. That's the other thing. Remember we talked about, if you look at some of my other videos, we talked about cool or warm. Okay, so what's cool? These are your cool colors. That means they're darker, right? And then let me show you what your warm colors are. Your warm colors are like a fall tree when they're losing their green, beautiful vibrancy, right? They start turning red, orange, yellow, and every color in between here that's warm. Okay, so those are your warm colors, and here's your cool colors. Anything that's cool. Cool doesn't look as good as on me as warm does. Warm looks better on me. Like this shirt is warm. It has like a nice kind of soft rust, kind of soft warm beige color, and then this is beige. White is actually more cool, and I don't really look good in white. So it's just really interesting how to learn color. Okay, so if you're going on a black piece of paper and then brown, you always want to look at, you know, just to show you, I mix the colors, the 3 primary colors on each one of them to show you what it looks like, right? All of them are neutral. It turns out to a neutral. Now, if you put it on beige, you'll see it brown more. If you put it on white, you're gonna really see it beige. You see it on tan color. This, I had mixed something else with that, but there you go. See, I like to play with these like pieces because I always like to think of it like hair, right? The color of hair. Are they black? Are they black brown? Okay, so I have these. These are just paints, and I want to mix them together, and I'm going to show you in a white bowl. See, these are your construction papers. Every time I do color, I always think of what color is the construction paper, what color is their hair, right? But it's very good to have a visual. Use your imagination. So effective to use your imagination. All right, so let's see how we're going to make copper. The dominant is always your darkest color, right? Red. Red is the dominating color. And these are washable. Alrighty then. Now, I want to just show show you if we put yellow with a drop, all right, a drop of red, you're going to get a beautiful copper. Okay, now you mix that together. Beautiful, beautiful copper. So when you're doing somebody's hair that you want to make a beautiful copper, okay, so there you go. Now let's just say we're putting that on brown hair, right? You probably need extra of something because it's not going to show very good, you know, brown on there. But if you put it on somebody that had highlights, let's just say you did strong highlights on them that made it to like a yellow piece of paper, a banana color. I always like to say the inside of a banana. That's how I like to lift highlights. Now let's just put a dot of blue in there and see what color it's going to make it. Now remember, it's a lot more dominant yellow, but I'm going to put just a little blue and see how quick does that overpower that color. Instantly changed it. Instantly changed it. Okay, you got to really mix it all good though, because it's almost making it brown. Oh, so you can really understand it better. Look at that brown. That just totally turned brown. Look at it on this paper, just from a dot of blue. So when you need to cut orange, you're going to use a blue toner to cut it so you make it a beautiful beige. All right, so let me show you here. All right, now if we want to cut that orange, yeah, you're gonna look at the, see, like this is a copper, look at all that red. But if you needed to cut that orange, you put a blue in there, something with a blue, and let's just look with, where's your blue? Like you could either do the blue back here, you could put a dot of that in there, right, into your formula to cut that orange out. So I hope that you understand how to do color effectively so that you become an expert colorist. You know, it's so cool to see how much red, how much blue. So now let me just make a nice purple, right? So now I'm gonna take red. Now listen, you know blue is so dominating, so now I'm gonna just make a little bit, and then I'll have a lighter purple or a deeper purple. I want you to think about that. It's going to be a deeper purple. Well, it'll be lighter than, it'll be like a red purple. It'll be more wine, right? See, I want you to start knowing when you mix them together, oh, this is such a pretty color. It's like wine, right? Yeah, like that would be gorgeous on somebody's hair. Gorgeous. Oh yeah, beauteous. If they want a beautiful wine color, now you know to put it on a beautiful, but if you're gonna do it on brown hair, right, look, it's not gonna, it's gonna be a hue, or I mean, that's red. If you're gonna do it on brown, you know, it will be gorgeous, but I want you to understand that wine on that brown is gonna be like, make it richer looking. It's gonna be very rich looking. So when you want really rich brown, put a little bit of purple in that formula. It'll be gorgeous. All right, so I love that color. That's gonna be my color. That's a really fun color actually. All right, now I wanna just do a touch of red. Now listen, this is the thing. If I have a dominant blue, what's that gonna look like? I mean, listen, you gotta do a dot of blue because it's so dominating. Now I'm gonna do with the yellow. Now this is, okay, this is important. When you do highlights, let's just say that my highlights came out too brassy, where I had that little, that extra warmth, right? That extra warmth. Hold on, wait, I wanna teach you, no, say they were yellow, not too orange, they were yellow. That's what I want you to think of. Yellow right here, okay? Now, let's just do that. Now, if I use something with a blue tone, because everything has toners in it, all of these colors have the tone, right? Look, that's the colors that are underneath. that hair. That's how they made it. They made it with that much yellow and that much red to make that color. Okay, so that blue, if it's on a yellow piece of paper, or let's just say yellow highlight, and then I use something with a blue tone, look what it does. So you're gonna tell me what it's gonna look like. You should know, you should definitely know by now. Green. So where do green highlights come from? And they're not green, it's a green undertone. Okay, because if they're using something that has a green cast to it, and let's look at green on here. So the green would be yellow and blue together. So let's see, and that's this one right here, yellow and blue, right? So when you're looking for a toner, you are not going to use that unless their hair was really orange like this. Then you can use something with a blue tone to it, right? Because otherwise you will put green highlights. It'll be a cast of green. It'll look like literally a soft green in that hair. And I've seen people come to my salon and they go, oh my God, I don't understand. They made my highlights green because it was too yellow. Instead of using purple, which would, which would neutralize it out and give you a beautiful beige color, they used yellow. They had yellow highlight and they used blue tone to it. You can't do that. Even though you don't see green in that, as soon as you mix that blue on that yellow, you're gonna get green. So that's where the green comes from. And I know for a little while, before I really understood the foundation of color, I didn't even understand that. I didn't understand how they get green color. Now I fully understand it. Now you'll fully understand it. So I wanna see if there's any here that are like with a green tone to it. I mean, they definitely have more dominant blue. So even this color, okay, that's more dominant blue with a little bit of red and yellow. Now listen, you know the red and blue will equal the orange with the blue. So you got to make sure you know what you're toning when you're using that. So let's mix that. And you're doing it on different levels. So that's something important that you need to think too. Okay. Just a touch. That was just a touch. Way more yellow and way more blue. Well, not a lot of blue, but because the blue is going to make the purple. The blue and no, the blue and the red will make the purple, and then the yellow will actually make it green. No, I'm sorry. I need to do more of the red. Yeah. All right. So if I mix all three of these this equal parts, what's that going to give me? If I mix them three equal, it's going to give me like a perfect neutral. That's why when you're doing cover and gray, all your end series are neutral because it has the same amount of everything in it. All right, so let's do extra blue. I have to do a little extra, a little bit of yellow, because the yellow, see, if I mix the blue and red right now, it's going to give me the purple. But of course that blue is dominating, so I should have a little more red in it. Okay, now I'm going to add the yellow in there. Let's see what color it's making it. Now listen, that would cover orange highlights. It's making it really like charcoal. Like a charcoal color, purple, blue. Yeah, because it's so, the blue is just too dominant. So that's why it's important to know what you're using and why you're using it. So it's the why to make your hair better and any color that you really want it. So if you have beautiful highlights and you want to stay away from making green, cast green on there, then you're going to use a violet, and that's where you use the color wheel. That's so important right here to always know. You need to check what color are you dealing with. Are you dealing with a brassy highlight? Are you dealing with red highlights? Do you want it to be neutral or do you want it to be red? Because if you want it to be red, you could just stick with the red. But if it's, you know, we don't really use green too much unless you use fashion colors, but you use something with a green tone if it's red and you want to make it neutral, right? So if you colored somebody too much color red, you could use something with a green base in there and it could make it a beautiful neutral. So this is Coach Kimmy. I just want to teach you some tips and tricks about color and the foundation of it and how to become an expert colorist. The more you keep rewatching these videos, the more it's going to imprint. And I love teaching that way, that you do step by step by step, right? I think it's just so good to just keep planting the seeds, planting the seeds, planting the seeds. Then when you start doing hair, you're going to think of construction paper. You're going to think, okay, am I doing a black piece of construction paper? If she wants to be blonde, right? If she wants to be blonde, how many levels do I have to go up to get her there? Forget it. That's too many. You're going to break off the hair. It's a process. You can do it, but you need to learn the hair first to find out how much pigment's in there. You know, is it strong hair, thin hair? Is it porous hair? It all is going to matter. It's all relative to whatever it is you're doing. But if it's perfect hair, then it's easy. If her hair is easy to lift, she's got dark hair, but she has very thin amount of cuticle in there, then you'll be able to do it. Maybe not in one session, but maybe in 2 or 3. So it's so important to have a great consultation to learn the factors that are in color when you have gray hair or salt and pepper hair. And you know, these are gonna help you to become that expert stylist. So I hope that these are benefiting you in so many ways. Just keep watching them, and I promise you, when you're doing hair and you're gonna see that head of hair, you're gonna instantly start to memorize and use your imagination of what you're doing, why you're doing it, and what it's gonna look like. See it in your imagination first, just like we played right now. We got the green and the beautiful wine color and just your neutral brown, right? Because we mix things to make it. So use your imagination when you're doing something so that you can become that expert colorist that you were born to be. And remember, you're a winner. You've always been a winner, and you'll always be a winner. Keep pushing forward, keep pushing forward, keep pushing forward into your greatness. All right, guys, this is Coach Kimmy. Subscribe, share the love. If you know if you're a cosmetology student or a hairstylist and you want to help your fellow hairstylists or cosmetology students out, share the love. I so appreciate it, and bless you all. You are the CEO of your own life. You're the only one that can make it happen. Hey guys, Coach Kimmy here. I just wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all your support, all your love, for watching my YouTube channel. And I have 2 channels. I have Coach Kimmy Mindset, and then I have Coach Kimmy Hair. So my passion is hair and people. So that's why I'm called a hairapist, because I feel like my whole entire career, I've been a therapist to my clients, right? But my passion is hair and their hearts. So I love to do more than just hair, beautiful on the outside and the inside. I love to go deep. I love to encourage people, inspire them. So my 2 channels are, one is for mindset, because we need a good mindset. If you don't have a good mindset, life just is not as happy as it should be, right? But with a good mindset, you can overcome anything and everything. And I wrote 3 books, and I also did a course, and I did all kinds of fun stuff. So if you're ever looking for anything else, or you need more emotional mindset stuff, just leave your email and leave me a message, and I would love to hook you up and get you emotionally and mentally, physically, financially, and spiritually well. This is Coach Kimmy. Have a great day.